Hi there. I have a book for you for this episode of just a girl under a tree reading a book, asking it to love her. And I'm choosing a tree next to a stream that my kiddos like to throw rocks and find rocks, and moving water is just nice to stand next to. But there's also a lot of snow. So we've got the state of frozen water and moving water together. And this is the tree that I'm choosing to read under. Goes pretty high up. Up. And these are its branches. And I'm gonna get cozy just underneath. And I'm finding something to sit on because the snow will make my bum wet. The book that I'm gonna read from today there's no author listed, it's a team, and I followed their podcast. And so I ordered their book because I liked a lot of the messages that I heard over the last couple of years. When I've popped on and listened and watched some of the YouTube videos they put out. So the podcast is from the hosts of Dualistic Unity Podcast and creators of the Dualistic Unity Troubleshooter on ChatGTP. Honestly, I don't know what that is, but I do know the Dualistic Unity Podcast. This groundbreaking book challenges everything you think you know about yourself, reality, and the nature of existence. And it does go on a bit more, but I want to get to the reading. So that is their symbol for their podcast. And this book came in the mail yesterday. And I was at a fair this weekend doing rune readings. Ash Tree Runes is a branch of Ash Tree Books, and I created socials recently for Ash Tree Runes because I figured it needed its own space. And there's a theme going on right now with my part of the world. Maybe it's not everywhere in the world, maybe it's the snow, and it's trickling into people's everyday lives around me. But there's a theme of not being in control, and that helpless feeling that we can sometimes feel when we don't have that control. And it ties into one of the runes in the set that I work with, the Elder Folkark set, and it's Isa, ice. And it's a rune that came up quite a bit this weekend in the readings I was doing. Often we aren't in control of our circumstances, and there's nothing we can do about it. And the lesson is to let go. And so when I flipped open this book this morning, I actually flipped it a couple pages past chapter 8, called The Paradox of Control. I have not read this book yet, and I just opened this page and read it this morning, and I thought, this is the page I'm going to read for this episode of Just a Girl Under a Tree reading a book, asking it to love her, because it talks about that theme of control. And I'm not reading from the beginning of the chapter. I'm reading mid-page on page 3, and I'm starting with a quote from Rumi. And we have to remember that, and why I chose to sit next to the stream, sorry, I cut my own self off, is that flow will happen again, ice will melt, and sometimes we have to let go, and sometimes there's blessings in letting go, and it's up to us to look inwardly to see what those lessons are. So I'm just going to get to the reading, and I just wanted to bring up that this seems to be a theme this week with the runes that I've been doing, so a synchronicity I thought I'd share. So starting with a quote from Rumi, and I'll let you look at the stream as I read. When you let go of who you are, you become who you might be. Rumi. In relationships, this dynamic plays out as a constant struggle for power and influence. Whether romantic partnerships, family dynamics, or friendships, the drive to control or impose one's perspective leads to conflict, resentment, and emotional distance. Instead of fostering intimacy and understanding, relationships become environments where efforts to maintain control create barriers to genuine connection. On a broader scale, this same dynamic drives conflicts between nations, political ideologies, and social groups. The desire for control and dominance, rooted in the belief in separateness, leads to wars, economic exploitation, and systematic oppression. The need to assert superiority and maintain dominance manifests as both overt and structural violence. Striving for control leads to anxiety, stress, and disconnection. Always chasing peace, we end up exhausted, disconnected from the currents of life that could bring fulfillment. And this book has little pages every once in a while, I notice as I flip through, something to reflect on. And I like that because if you're busy and you have time to just read a couple pages at a time with a reflection. So this reflection is where I'm at right now. Something to reflect on. Reflect on a time when you tried to control an outcome in your life, a relationship, career decision, or personal goal. How did that desire for control impact your emotional state? Did it bring you peace, the peace you hoped for, or did it lead to greater anxiety and frustration? And I'm going to just read to the next reflection. The systems we have built to govern the world, political, economic, and social, are crumbling under the weight of their own contradictions. The more we try to exert dominion over nature, the more we destroy the ecosystems that sustain life. The more we attempt to regulate populations through violence and coercion, the more resistance and unrest we create. The more we commodify human relationships, the more isolated and disconnected people become. By trying to control life, we deny its fundamental nature, that it is ever-changing, fluid, and beyond the grasp of any one individual system. This attempt to impose control creates division and conflict, blinding us to the deeper truths of our shared existence. What makes this paradox so difficult to overcome is that we fiercely resist recognizing that control is an illusion, clinging to it as though it could offer us security. Letting go of control can feel like losing everything: security, identity, even survival. But until we confront this misunderstanding, we will remain trapped in a cycle of control and reaction. The peace we long for cannot be achieved through control, because control itself creates division. The more we chase it, the further we move from the sense of peace that comes from acceptance. The first step in breaking free from the cycle is to recognize that control is not the solution. It is the very thing fueling the cycle we seek to escape. This recognition is not easy. It requires us to let go deeply ingrained beliefs about how life should be, and to accept that much of what we strive for is based on a misunderstanding of life's true nature. But until we make this shift in awareness, we will remain caught in this paradox of control, forever chasing peace and stability through methods that only deepen our disconnection from ourselves, each other, and the world. So I'm excited to read the rest of the book now. I like that it comes in sections. I like that there's reflections. I'll be selling this book on Ashtree Books, but I might not post it right away because I want to read a little bit more of it. And I'll post a link to how you can get your own copy. And I'll let the reading just speak for itself. Although I did share the rune Isa, and it just ties in so well to the lessons, and it does seem to be a theme at the moment, something that I'm noticing. But the ice will melt, and it will be fluid again. It just takes time, at times, And sometimes it happens quicker than you think, and more opportunities come from letting go of control.